this in shelters all the time. Foucault examines this aspect in depth in the first volume of The History of Sexuality. He states, broadly speaking, at the juncture of the body and the population, sex became a crucial target of a power organized around the management of life rather than the menace of death. If we can somehow control like who's reproducing, then we can control like the population and like keep those that we think are like worthy alive and kind of like let the other ones die out. So the animal shelter regulates reproduction through forced sterilization. Before these animals are allowed to escape their biopolitical trap, adopted out generally, they must first be sterilized. So this rhetoric works on a number of levels, but included or not limited to adoption restrictions. So often they won't let you adopt a dog or a cat unless it's sterilized. So like you would pay for that, they would pay for that, often they do. Adoption fees that include the cost of sterilization, the plea at the end of The Price is Right to please spay or neuter your pets, and social criticism that couples itself with female dogs in heat and male dogs with enlarged testicles. Unlike human populations, where reproduction is controlled through both preventative measures, such as birth control, and responsive measures like abortion, the shelter operates under restriction of all reproductive possibilities. So unlike Foucault's assertion that sex is a target of biopower, the actual biology of the animal, its reproductive organs, become the target of biopower. And this furthers biopolitics' foothold over their lives. So I'd briefly like to turn from Foucault back to Agamben. So in his book, Homo Sacer, he talks about states of exception. And I would like to sort of frame the animal shelter as a state of exception. So the state of exception functions through a sovereign suspension of law, and it gives a sovereign ultimate control over the lives of its subjects. So Agamben claims, the state of exception is not the chaos that precedes order, but rather the situation that results from its suspension. In suspending all law, the sovereign grants himself a monopoly over life, can basically decide like which lives are livable, who lives and who dies, essentially. So the shelter functions through a suspension of law that disregards life and instead exerts itself through a biopolitical frame where animal life is often sentenced to death. So like when we think of animal shelters, we think, I don't mean to like say like we in this room, I mean just like humans in general often think that they are these like sanctuaries, right? So we're like helping adopt out like dogs and cats, like we're saving their lives, but often this isn't what happens. They're dying like by the millions every year. This is a real problem that we need to think about and try and work through, like why is this happening? So Coetzee also portrays the animal shelter as a state of exception and disgrace. The dead dogs, the ones who have been abandoned, become symbols of life's precariousness. David laments, as for the dogs, he does not want to think about them. From Monday onward, the dogs released from life within the walls of the clinic will be tossed into the fire, unmarked and unwarned. Stripped of any right or to life or respectable death, the dogs are disposed of in unmarked bags and go unwarned